Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York is a narrative experience set in the rich universe of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. It presents the struggle for power between two vampiric factions, the Camarilla and the Anarchs, bathed in the night's light of the Big Apple. Hi everybody, it's Charlie, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. Okay, let's just pick the first one. Have a little ooh, I get to pick a clan. Good. I do know a fair bit about Vampire the Masquerade because I've played. We have Bruja, Ventru, and Toreador. Yes, I recognize the logos. So, Bruja, that's a rebel against power and the rage against authority. A seemingly insignificant man with significant ideas will join their ranks tonight. Or Ventru, the aristocratic blue bloods embody wealth, sovereignty, and control. A top-level corporate executive will join their ranks tonight. And then we have Toreador, the diva, seek thrills of art, romance, and cruelty amidst stagnant and death. A tormented artist will join their ranks tonight. We're gonna go with Ventru because that's what I do. My character that I actually played was also Ventru, and she became a prince in the end, so that's pretty cool. Let's go with that. In light of Diana, we're gonna actually call her Diana. There we go. Let's go! Those do. Oh, a dictionary. Okay. And that, the beginning. Oh, those are, yes, that's a log. Okay. Right, New York taught me to believe in fate. Had you asked me about fate back when I was a human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit. That we are all designers of our own destinies. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck. It happened in the very same place you're standing right now, by the way. Fate? You decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again. I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred, just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouthed beggars and see them for all that you really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate, a message saying, you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom, it was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it, given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. Is this gonna be the prince? You might have wondered how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be the day as some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it's so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I trust to do the job well and without attracting attention. What is he asking us to do, though? I don't know. We still don't know who this man is. He could be anyone, really. You might think I'm crazy asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. Is he gonna be asking me to kill one of our own? But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. As long as he's not asking me to diablerize anyone. I don't know. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. Your phone rings. It's your boss. Again. The setting sun that filled your high-rise office an hour ago is gone. The city looks like an ocean of light from up here, spreading for miles to the north. You pick up. You're about to call it a day, forget about the world of fintech and decompress at home. No dice. Oh wait, now we're human, I think. One of the investors wants to meet you. His voice is always the perfect mix of authority and sleaze. He'll come by your office in an hour. You look at the clock. An hour? He's gotta be kidding. Yeah, I know, but stick around. It's heavyweight. You'll want to make a good impression. Fine. You grit your teeth a little. The boss hangs up. 2 hours. Might as well pour another coffee into yourself and figure out how to be the best use this to your advantage. You suspect everyone knows that no, you're actually not happy with your current position, that in fact you feel squished against a glass ceiling that comes with the territory. Sure, your idiot superior might have gotten the job only because he's the CEO, golfing buddy, but you're going to put an unholy amount of work into your advancement. Times were, you'd laugh off the idea of staying at the office until 9 p.m. You had a partner to go home to, a nightly Netflix and chill ritual to perform, complete with a pizza or Chinese takeout. Ever since you moved up the ladder, though, your hours have only gotten longer. That's how it works, though. I feel like that's why I maybe not want to move up, because I do want to keep some time for myself, you know? Food, mostly at the company cafeteria, sometimes takeout, always in a rush. You praise the heavens for your crazy metabolism and dread the day that it finally decides to give up. Rest, at this point the cleaning lady who takes care of your apartment probably spends more time in your bedroom than you do. You flash back to your boss quoting Shakespeare to impress his new, extremely attractive and uncomfortably young secretary. For some must watch while some must sleep, so runs the world away. Drinks, mostly with colleagues, and they all pretty much hate you at this point. Another flashback this time to the most profitable quarter in the company's history. Still, the board decides that layoffs were in order. Your boss didn't feel like letting people know in person, so he passed that privilege on to you. I would absolutely despise doing that. Gotta hand it to him. He always knew how to pick his battles. But maybe, just maybe, tonight is the night that it's all gonna change. You decide to play the good looks angle. Nothing too slutty. You leave your blouse slightly unbuttoned, check if your ass looks good as you remembered in your pencil skirt. Mirror says yes. Computer says no. It's not something you're proud of, but you've become too jaded to care. Knowing your luck, the investor is gonna be one of two types. A self-obsessed Musk wannabe in his 20s, oh they mean Elon, right? Or a fat old pervert drenched in cologne. I would go with the self-obsessed Elon Musk wannabe though. Yeah, I despise cologne, so that's not happening. You hear the elevator ding. Time to get this show on the road. You take one final look in the mirror and fix your hair as the footsteps echo across the empty hallway. The man who approaches your office is not what you expected. He's slick, to be sure, but he seems a bit more refined than your usual company man. Expensive suit, matching tie and shirt, confident in his stride, surprisingly good looking. He's a vampire, he's gotta be. Oh, definitely. Good evening. I hope this unforeseen visit isn't too much of an inconvenience. God, that voice. You're taken aback by how smooth and strong it is. And his eyes. Steel blue. Cold. Intense. He is all business. Professional. Treats you in a manner that's appropriate to your stature. When he speaks, he actually looks you in the eye and not at your cleavage. Damn it, there goes that plan. He asks some questions about your work and tells you how he noticed your input after talking to the CEO, another golfing buddy, and comes charmingly close to calling your boss an incompetent doofus. All the while, you try to guess his accent but can't quite place it. European? Sure, but where from? I know I've kept you long enough, but would you indulge me and join me for a drink? Well, we're gonna go with Belgium accent. That is from Belgium because I am and I'm doing the voice, so let's just go with that. Of course, for a minute there, it seemed like he wasn't that kind of guy. But what the hell, you go with it, he seems nice enough. Besides, it's not like you have any other plans. The investor has a limo waiting downstairs, and the driver takes you to a high-end restaurant in Williamsburg. A seat is waiting for you in the deluxe lounge. It's just the two of you. You talk about this and that. Your companion seems to have a knack for history. So, tell me, what would you do if you had full control of the company? You'll almost choke on your wine. This is your chance. You say what's been on your mind for months, but hide it behind a veneer of professional corpo battle. Refocusing, listening to your instincts for once, restructuring, kicking out to your boss, aggressively pursuing new markets, getting the hell away from all these horrible people. He likes the sound of that. He leans forward. His eyes flash with intensity and something else. A strange emotion that wasn't there before. You do just fine. Okay, I guess. guess we'll do just fine. His words echo inside your head as you black out. You wake up, God only knows how much later. As you try to piece together what happened, you hear a familiar voice. The investor, or whoever the hell he is, talking to someone. You suddenly recall snippets, fragmented memories, his sapphire eyes intently locked with yours, his teeth suddenly longer and sharper. And something else, a feeling on your neck that takes you back to your last orgasm. A company trip to Florida, sweaty room, the cutie from HR who doesn't work there anymore, and then darkness.
Yes, I'm done here. Consider my debt paid.
Okay. The investor pushes the other figure aside and walks away from the lounge, barely bothering to look at you. The door locks behind him. Okay, I get what was going on now, apparently. I think is that my boss was a vampire too, and he owed this man something? No? Yeah? And I was food, and he had to check if I was the right resonance first, or if my blood was going to be his preference, and that's why he said that I would do. I think that's what happened, something along those lines. Some time passes before you find the strength to get up from the couch. You touch your lips. What? Did that asshole hate you? You try to stand up, but your head is pounding and your stomach is like a heavy nut pulling you down. He didn't have that much to drink. He must have spiked your wine. This is bad. You frantically check your clothes. Pristine. Doesn't make any sense. All of a sudden, a feeling hits you unlike anything else you've ever felt before. You fall to the floor, writhing in an all-encompassing pain and hunger. The kind that makes your insides burn, that cannot be denied. You try to calm yourself down with breathing exercise. They taught you at some bullshit mindfulness course. That's when it hits you. You're not breathing. We're turned. I thought we were just a snack, but okay. And holy shit, your heart should be jumping out of your chest with that realization, but it's not moving. Not even a beat. The door unlocks. You hear a startled voice. My nose is itchy. Why is it so itchy? That's really annoying. A young man in a waiter's outfit, his accent thick with an Eastern Europe harshness, leans over and asks if you're alright. Oh my god, nose, stop itching. I swear, this is not fun anymore. Okay, oh my god, stop it. Stop itching. Oh, annoying. Right. For a brief moment, you wonder what the hell he is doing here. Everything is wrong. Then his smell reaches your nostrils. Oh no. Yeah, we're gonna kill this waiter. We are going to kill this waiter. It's intoxicating. Everything feels right again. He holds out his arm to help you stand up. You grab it firmly with both hands, and then you bite down. You sink your teeth right next to the old school pin-up tattoo of Rita Hayworth on his forearm. It takes you a moment to process what you're doing. A part of you wants to break away, but a stronger voice implores you to keep drinking. One thing becomes clear. You are definitely enjoying this. He only struggles a little and quickly falls to his knees. You can see his eyes now. Pale blue and confused. You only bring yourself to let him go once he collapses onto the floor. Your bite leaves a mess on his forearm, Poor Rita. All bloodied, missing half her face. Did you just drink this guy's blood? Oh, we have so much still to learn. We didn't even lick those wounds. Oh, there he is. Poor guy. You spit out a piece of torn flesh. That's... why? Where? What was in that fucking wine? Barely able to focus. Your heart in your lungs is still motionless. You reach your phone and dial 911.
Operator?
911 operator, what's your emergency? I can't breathe. There we are, that's us. Ma'am, where are you right now? The door to the lounge swings open. The man who enters is not the only one. Not the one that brought you here. Though there are similarities. He's tall, for one, broad-shouldered, handsome, dressed in an immaculate suit. But his skin is darker, and the look on his face tells you he is not here to negotiate a deal. He notices a smartphone in your hand. Ooh. Hello.
Pass me the phone if you want to live.
The man's voice is persuasive, calm, but carrying clear threat. He's got the aura of a viciously efficient corporate shark. You find it hard to argue with him. Ma'am? Hello?
I apologize for wasting your time. My new colleague got drunk and is now trying to impress everyone with her antics. Good night.
He disconnects the call and places your phone in his pocket. For whatever reason, you can barely take your eyes off the stranger. As hypnotizing as his presence is, though it is also highly discomforting.
Good evening, miss. I'm here to pick you up.
This is the prince's lapdog. Ow, my leg is asleep. My leg is asleep. Ooh, pick me up?
Did I stutter?
The stranger approaches the waiter and examines his body.
Critical condition, but he might live. Anyway.
He then sets his sights on you.
I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you, and going by experience, they tend to fall into two categories. First, there are the smart ones who carefully obey my every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on, the wise guys who try to contact somebody secretly and without permission. The troublemakers who try to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given the speech before, like dozens of times. So you see, while I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's my one true weakness, one that inspired me to come up with a 3-strike system when dealing with pups like you. If you get on my nerves once or twice, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations, but cross me 3 times and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy. As he's talking, he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of a theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes, and you're out. Say, I understand, sir. Now.
Every atom of your being screams for you to obey his authority. I understand, sir. We're adventurers, so we're gonna go with this hit. We're gonna suck up all of the asses, and we're gonna try to end up on top of this chain. That's what we gonna do. Or at least try.
Stick to that tone and you'll do just fine. Moving on, is there anyone you'd want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're alright?
He flashes his fangs briefly, and for some reason, the sight sends a chill down your spine. There's something very wrong about him.
Someone closest to you?
I have no one. We had someone, but now we're single, so we're gonna go with there's no one. No, I don't have anyone.
The stranger squints at you. No family, no lover, no friends, nothing?
A job. Your blank stare tells him the whole story. He immediately stops prying and gives you something even worse than a look of pity. A look of honest compassion.
Well, that makes things simpler, but let me be crystal clear, just in case. From this point on, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under. And you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes looking for you, it's over for both you and them.
That practiced tone again. You put your poker face and listen in silence.
So unless you want your boss to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I'd suggest you cooperate.
Don't tempt me. He smiles, revealing his fangs again. There's something absolutely sickening about it. Suddenly you feel overwhelmed by a sense of exhaustion. You pass out. When you regain your senses, you find yourself in a stranger's arms. The man is holding you as you would a spouse who's had a little too much to drink. You try to break free, but he holds you close and gives you a cautioning look. Only when you sees you're struggling does he let you go. Only now do you notice the change in scenery. You find yourself in a fancy lobby, right next to the elevator. The place is virtually empty, save for a single concierge and some cleaning staff. Your companion gestures at the concierge as you pass, and he picks up the phone. The elevator arrives, the door opens, and the man motions towards the cabin.
After you.
Where are we going?
To a safe place. That's all you need to know. Trust me, you don't want to make this difficult. Just get in.
La la la. I will step inside the elevator. Going against your instincts, you enter the cabin. Smooth jazz is playing over the speakers as the elevator starts its descent. You are dazed, panicky, but somehow locked in place. On the one hand, you find the stranger's presence oddly soothing. On the other, you can feel your body tensing up with stress. You can't help but think back to the young waiter, the doe-eyed look on his face, the confused look he gave you just before. No, it's better not to think about it. Plus, you have other things to worry about, like the fact that you're being kidnapped. The cabin door opens to the same garage you arrived at with the investor some hours ago. The man shows you a black Cadillac Escalade. Ooh, nice. I'd like me a Cadillac.
I know what you're thinking. Get into the car with some strange man. Boy, sure seems like a dumb idea. Maybe I'll make a run for it. I might be able to lose him. So let me be perfectly clear. Your best bet is to get in, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Do you think that waiter upstairs is gonna be alright?
Yes.
You look him in the eyes and can immediately tell he's lying.
No more questions. Get in the car, please.
I'm not gonna run. I'm just gonna get in the car. It seems like the worst idea ever, but the man's made it very clear that you have no choice in the matter. Are you going to hurt me?
No, not tonight at the very least, unless you make me.
He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch.
Listen, you really need to quit stalling. We're on a bit of a schedule here. The sun comes up in about 2 hours and I don't intend to be here when it does.
What does it matter when the sun comes up?
Ugh. You really don't know, do you? Good thing I got here when I did. But I do know.
He opens the car door and gestures towards it. You see no point in delaying the inevitable, so you get in. The door locks behind you. The Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The inside windows seem light-proof. The man gets into the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without another word. Oh my god, look at his eyes in the reflection of that mirror. Wow. How am I alive? My heart, it's not beating.
Aren't you in big business? What do you need a heart for anyway? Listen, I realize you have many questions. Tomorrow you will get some answers. But tonight you need to do what I say. And right now I need some quiet, please.
You feel too confused to protest. And you stay silent for the rest of the ride. Even as more questions bubble up to the surface. One of them being, did you actually kill someone tonight? Staring out the window, you find it hard to focus and quickly lose track of where you're headed. You can only tell that you haven't left Manhattan. Another underground parking, almost featureless, empty. The car stops and the man opens the door for you.
We're here.
The stranger walks you to a nearby door. He opens it and motions at you to get in.
Go on in, make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry, again, take a look in the fridge. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and you'll get your answers.
Behind the door is a small room, no windows, just a simple bed and a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. A small fridge is humming away in the corner, accompanied by a rattling AC fan in the wall. And where are you going?
I have to make some arrangements, for tomorrow, of course. But look, this room is your best chance of seeing another night. I realize you've been put in a problematic situation and it's not entirely your fault. Cooperate and you might still make it. You will learn more tomorrow, but for the right time being, get in and get cozy.
He gestures inside the room.
I'm just gonna step into the room. Oh, that looks a lot worse than I thought it did at first.
You step inside. The stranger nods.
Good night.
He locks the door behind you. It looks very sturdy. You open the fridge. There's a single plastic bag there filled with red liquid. No label. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best to leave it for now. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. At least it's not too filthy. You think back to how this evening began. This investor, is he friends with the dark-skinned stranger who picked you up from the restaurant? What happens now? Unable to relax, you spend an hour or so playing out various scenarios in your head. Eventually, you decide to give in and let exhaustion take over. Whatever tomorrow brings, you'd rather face it well rested. Plus, there's no way in hell your boss isn't going to notice your absence tomorrow. That and maybe some of the restaurant staff will feel a pang of conscience. Someone will notify the police. Someone will find you. Right? You flash back to the waiter's tattoo, the bloody Rita Hayworth winking at you over a pale mess of a wound. You did this. You bit him. drank his blood, and it tasted good. What if you can never go home again? You're so tired. Your entire body tenses up one last time, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. And then we wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged, the lamp is still on, the AC is still rattling, the refrigerator is still humming. You take a look at your watch, it's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you're certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and the back of the head. You open the fridge and the bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it's soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out and take a whiff, and you recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating. But now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing. Let's drink. It feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes like shit. It's not my preference. It's coppery, thick, and clings to your tongue and the inside of your mouth like a film of dirt. You swallow hard regardless. The taste is foul, but somehow you kind of want more of it. As you take a second sip, sucking the blood out of the bag, you feel something pull on your insides. You double over. You're going to barf. You instinctively cover your mouth, looking for a place to vomit. Before you find it, a dark red wave washes over your hands and fingers. It hits the floor, splattering in huge, thick drops. Yeah, this definitely was not the type of blood that I want, that I need. It's not. Yes, we don't like it. You keep heaving for a moment longer. Nothing is coming out. Not blood, not bile, not even spit. But still, something in your body wants to push it out. Push it all out. Every last drop. As you recover, trying to wipe droplets of regurgitated blood from your dress, you hear the lock click and see the door open. Standing there is a well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again. That predatory look, like a hawk on a hunt. But somehow more relaxed tonight. So, like a tamed hawk, maybe?
Good evening. How was...
He notices a splatter, your red hand, the sick look on your face. He barely contains a smirk.
Oh, was the catering unable to satisfy your exquisite taste? Apologies.
It was terrible. Probably the worst thing I've ever tasted.
Aren't we picky eaters? Spare me your complaining. Come on, we've got places to be. I should have some water and a towel in the back of the car so you can clean yourself up.
The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside. The door of the cramped room you have spent the day in. The man motions to it, politely, but with a stern look on his face. Rush the stranger, get inside the car, hijack the car, get inside. It's not like I have a choice, right?
Correct, but your cooperation is appreciated nevertheless.
You take the back seat again. The doors lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks, though the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming in the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, that door is locked, alright. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do, but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You become restless. This is essentially a kidnapping. Whatever this guy says about its purpose, it doesn't change the fact you're being held against your will, and you're not used to following orders when you can't delegate them to somebody else. You feel a need to get a semblance of control over the situation, so you decide to prove yourself useful. I can get you a lot of money, I have a worthwhile skill set, I know people in high places. Listen, I'm an investment advisor and I have a lot of experience in fintech. Whatever your organization is, it might find use for me.
I don't even have an idea what fintech is, and honestly, I don't care to find out.
A short pause.
I'll be frank, currently you're in no position to offer anybody anything. The sooner you accept that, the better.
La la la.
Ridicule his lack of ambition. Why the fuck not?
Big words for somebody's dedicated errand boy. I wonder if you've ever achieved anything.
You push the right buttons. He gives you an absolutely furious stare through the rear view mirror. For a second, you spot a crack in his professional demeanor. You don't know anything about me. You have no idea where I'm coming from or where I'm headed.
For a few seconds, he quietly fumes.
Your attitude won't help you make any friends. And in your current position, you'll definitely need some. Consider that. Preferably in silence.
That dull hunger strikes again. The powerlessness hurts. You're used to people listening to you, or pretending to care about your demands, at least. The driver doesn't play that game, and it annoys you to no end. Takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York. That much is certain. Queens, maybe?
After me. No sudden movements, please.
You approach a nice-looking building that holds a two-story gallery called the Art Hall. Two large men in suits flank the door on both sides, as they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigating the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you, and the stranger who brought you here, their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest in others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. This reminds you of your company meetings. You, the only woman in the room, silently judged not on her merits, but her standing on the list. passed in clandestine email threads between your male co-workers until HR found out that is. Not the most pleasant experience, but there's no denying it taught your resilience. When others would cower, you now straighten up. When others would turn their gaze, you meet the eyes of the gallery's guests with confidence. Good evening, Kadir. And to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers. You being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss.
Okay. You're addressing the Prince of New York City, Helene Pennant, child of Michaela.
Thank you, my sheriff, but I'm capable of introducing myself. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still, the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear.
You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into one life was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. Oh yes, I know what's gonna happen now. They're gonna decide if I live or die. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression.
A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience.
But I'm willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. I'm gonna shut up.
You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like you're out of your depth here.
Shall we begin? You're about to be judged by the Court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you find this fledgling and what happened on your way here.
Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe?
A trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. A reservation made in the private lounge of the practitioner suggests this one sire had plenty of resources to spend. However, they are apparently also well connected. I lost track of them. Despite some reservations, she offered little resistance last night and cooperated on her way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force her compliance. Opening the door to the safe house tonight, I was greeted by a most disturbing sight of her drenched in regurgitated blood. Apparently the bagged supply we kept in the fridge was not to her liking.
The remark elicits a contemptuous chuckle from one of the gathered guests as they note the remains of the blood on your skirt.
It was not an elegant sight, but that hardly matters, I suppose. Moving on. We had a quick chat about wishing to appear here post-haste. I urged her to join me, which she did without struggle, a pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. During our drive here, she showed me her fangs, metaphorically speaking, posturing as if we were equals, insulting me when it didn't work. I refrained from causing her physical harm, but I expect her ego might still be a bit bruised.
He looks at you and flashes a nasty smile.
The story ends with us arriving at the Elysium tonight.
All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder?
Thank you, Kadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later.
She turns her attention to you.
First, there is the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they?
An entrepreneur. Acquaintance of my boss, I think. Good looking, pale blue eyes and some gray in his hair. Charming, abusive, cold son of a bitch. You feel tired and angry. This whole situation, spending the day in some underground parking lot, having to bear the looks of a room full of strangers, it's almost too much to take in stride. There is no reason you should take it all in stride, but you do. Because if there's one thing your professional career has taught you, it's that. All because of that asshole. Whoever he was, he never even gave you a name or a card, nothing. I mean, it's kind of on us to go to a restaurant with a stranger whose name we didn't even know. You know, I feel like that's kind of stupid of us. Well, Kadia, does that sound familiar? No, it is not, or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. That man, he talked to somebody at the restaurant before he left. I can't remember what he said, but he wasn't alone. Maybe that's a lead you can follow?
Did he now? That's interesting. I do hope the proprietor won't stay mad at us for losing one of his stuff.
It's almost like he knows the waiter's fate is still bothering you and takes pleasure in pointing it out.
Thank you for that observation. I will investigate it later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince?
What is your recommendation, my sheriff?
The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty.
State your hand just for a moment longer, Kadia. I wish to consult my counselor to make sure everyone is in agreement.
Of course.
He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Kadir what all that talk of traditions and councils was, when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you.
Sophie?
Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling.
What for?
She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is gonna be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve.
I'll go get my sword.
He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in a showroom with a woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eye of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you're in quite the pickle. Tell me you're here to explain what the hell is going on. I am. Let me cut straight to the point. Last night you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I'm well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires, you're looking at them. They're us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. That's not wine. Are we still not? That is not wine. Why did we? Okay. No, oh. I spoke too soon. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying it. And your breathing has not returned, your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she is saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If you don't do nothing, you'll be cut down, and as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Kadir's complaints about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I have no clue what that word means. I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I'll make sure you face the consequences. La la la. You're saying the prince might have other plans for me? What will you offer to convince her? You see it yourself, hopefully. Know this, there are certain traditions and history of our society in the city that I can tap into. My word might not carry that much weight, but it's not easily ignored either. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. When you hear the verdict asks to be spared, I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight. I've made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since being embraced has been disagreeable, and it does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. You are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. Oh, they're gonna kill me because I said something to Kadir. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can only be one course of action, although I acknowledge some of my counselor's divergent opinions on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. Okay, either that's Blush of Life, or he's a Nosferatu who doesn't want to look very ugly right now. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the side's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir? I should have shut my mouth, and I know this. I knew I was dealing with Camarilla, and I should have shut up. You hear a scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It's a beautiful, detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 out, bottom of the 9th. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he is out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. You make your choice. Spare me, please! Don't make me beg! God damn it! Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice.
Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley?
Yes, if I may. At first the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest. Some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods.
Well, let's hear it.
Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain.
And I understand you are volunteering to take this unruly child under your protection?
Yes, I am willing to give them a chance, and prove to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations. I will take nothing less than their full cooperation naturally.
Whispers can be heard again. An incredulous voice or two. A hushed, just behead the fucker. Some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence! I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until the progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things, their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley?
I'm willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our secret in time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them if it pleases you.
Remain silent.
It's clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discuss your death, or second death, apparently, and keeping silent. You decide it's for the best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again.
I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley?
Of course, Prince. Thank you.
Very well. She turns to you. Who, Sophie? Oh. What is your name, child?
Diana, Prince.
She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Diana. Now, this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties? Of course, Prince.
He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Diana, I think we both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. The memory of throwing up in the safe house is still fresh in your mind, and the idea that it could happen again is almost enough to reject the drink altogether. But there's no denying you want it.
Needed. Yeah, hopefully they will give me some rich people blood now, so I don't throw up in this place again. I remember what Kadir said about your misadventure before getting in the car. Some of us have more delicate palates than others. Try take a small sip. S'il vous plaît. He pours it into 2 tall glasses. You can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it is blood, you're certain of it, doesn't faze you this time. It's difficult to take just a sip. Even though the taste is as foul as before, you're tempted to drown the whole glass in one go. You wait before taking a second taste, but you're glad you did. A feeling like heartburn signals that you can't keep it down. You spit it back inside the glass. Sophie looks on, intrigued. I'm not surprised. The NYC caterers have very bourgeois ideas about what good blood should taste like. Well, you just need to keep trying. At Sophie's request, the concierge serves you 3 other varieties of blood. The first 2 are as horrible and indigestible as before, both ending up back in the glass within moments of tasting them. Before the 3rd try, you are almost ready to throw the glass at the wall in frustration. But finally, this one's different. Instead of mud and decay, a surprisingly rich bouquet of tastes. You feel blissfully at ease, and Sophie takes notice. Ah, there it is, Jacob. Would you kindly let us know who the donor was? Leave the bottle, please. The concierge nods and leaves again. You take another sip, and another. You empty the glass. The dull feeling in your stomach and head starts subsiding, but you still want more. Sophie pours you another glass and refills hers. She takes a sip. You have a curious specific taste, Diana. Is it the clover notes, the traces of caffeine, or that bittersweet aftertaste of melancholy? You taste nothing of the kind, but it doesn't matter. It's tasty, but not as delicious as it was last night. Not as intoxicating. It manages to silence the hunger somewhat, though. Drinking blood puts you at ease. It is a strange realization. The man named Jacob comes back with a small card and leaves it with Sophie. She takes a quick look and passes it on to you. It's somebody's medical details. An office worker, male, Caucasian, 32 years old. Blood type ABRH+. I have no clue what that is. I guess we say blood types different here in America, or we just don't. AB+. Yeah, I'm just O negative, so I don't know what all the other stuff is. Blue eyes, brown hair, no history of substance abuse, New Jersey native. Might one of these details be what makes the difference? Now that we've picked the right bouquet for your palate, these documents should be useful in identifying your exact taste. Should they be 0, RH+, or Joyce boys? Joyce! Jersey boy. Okay. But I believe you have more questions, no? Perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. La la la. These difficulties of mine. How do I navigate that? How will I know what kind of blood I can drink? It's a tricky question. I believe you will just have to trust your instincts on this. With time, you should be able to narrow down your particular preference. Blood that you reject is of course of no value to you, and it's a horrible waste. No amount of it will ever satiate your hunger completely, but every little sip counts. If you're frugal, or forced by the circumstances, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky, and will tempt the beast. That is part of our curse. It will take some time to find the right balance. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting, and we will explore this topic further, but you should be good for now. So, now that I'm working for you,
What are my responsibilities gonna be like? It's a bit more complicated than working for me. If I wished for a servant, there were an easier way to achieve that than risking the prince's charging at the Lyceum. I can see potential in you that would have been wasted if I hadn't spoken up. Not to mention it would pain me to witness the senseless final death. It always had. That said, I will require that you defer to me in all things. But me being your mentor and superior also means that I shall treat you as my loyal retainer and understudy. With me, you can go far. Without me, and proper guidance, you would have become a clear danger to the Masquerade. That is why, with your sire gone, the prince wanted you out of the picture, too.
The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile and leads into a whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is just about close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on could tip any negotiation towards her favor. Her words are like honey, and she makes it impossible to take your eyes off her. You're under her spell, momentarily. Maybe I chose the wrong accent for this woman. I don't know. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls-Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit more about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the Masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts, so that the vast majority of kind will remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. See, that is one television show about vampire angels still popular. You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a little bit more dejected than before. I bet she's really old. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe. Allow us to explain away the occasional trip up of the rational minds of 21st century humanity and dedicate much of our interaction with mortals. So, if it's such a secret, then I'm guessing you're... Oh, that's me. So, if it's such a secret, then I'm guessing your driver is a vampire too? Oh dear, Gregory here? No, not vampire. Although he is a loyal servant and such, trusted to not spill our secrets left and right, you will realize with time that such help is welcome. Gregory watches over me during the day hours. Sunburns are kind. That's why we take our rest when it rises. It's more akin to being dead than asleep, as I'm sure you've already experienced. But not everything you've heard about vampires is true. Some more folk-related threats are just legends, or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water. Even religious symbols don't repel us, unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though that's something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze us. Well, that's just another reason to have somebody like trusty old Gregory making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their vented lives with daylight. Your driver must know who he works for, right? I mean, he's right here. Surely he can hear everything we're saying. How can you trust him to keep your secrets? Oh, he's a ghoul. His loyalty is assured by partaking of my blood, but his loyalty extends beyond just this dependency, as I'm sure he'll be happy to tell you if you ask. It's a nice change of pace. Our little sex supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage counting on someone. Support given in exchange of favors.
Yeah, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. When you're in Elysium, like we were tonight, the sect can appear to be a monolith. The reality is more complex. Outside of official gatherings, shady deals and quid pro quo mentality reigns supreme. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You're in the city, in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? I get my own apartment? That's neat. Consider it the first of many gifts that I'm able to grant in exchange for loyalty. Come upstairs. Maybe I should give her a French accent. I don't know. She leads you to a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy looking locks, but no windows. Well, how'd you like it? This is great, thank you. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. These keys are by the television set. I'll come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors just in case. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. It feels strange that Kadir could be more thoughtful host than your new sire. Even if only in that respect, you briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. Maybe he does. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago, and you start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldview-shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understood what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for that. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into a cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room. The bed is comforting, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. Okay, a few minutes later, your consciousness fades and you take the plunge into darkness again. Sinking, 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 sinking. Ooh, we've got a map. Must I select this? Takes tutorial! Hunger is at the heart of vampire's existence. To ignore it is to tempt the beast to take over in its desires to feed. To overindulge in feeding may threaten the masquerade while staining what humanity you have left. In Coteries of New York, having high hunger is indicated by a progressively thicker, bloody frame around the screen, like the one you see now. What? I don't see. Oh, now I see. Wow, that was very faint. As your hunger grows, so does this indicator. Your hunger may increase when you call upon your vampiric powers or when you need to mend your wounds after a fight. When your hunger reaches the maximum level, you will receive a warning after you complete a piece of the story. Ignore it at your own peril. Some choices might only become visible if your hunger is high enough. Similarly, high hunger may block off some choices, as you will be able to see after pressing continue. Locked off option. Yeah, okay, I understand. To decrease your hunger, you will need to feed. Whenever you see a feeding opportunity, you can take the risk to hunt and slake your hunger. Okay, feeding opportunity. You will need to keep the hunger at bay if you are to uphold the masquerade and survive the nights that await you. Okay. It's night again. You open your eyes. The bed isn't warm. The room is filled with artificial light from the ceiling. The solid metal door is closed. Normally you'd stretch for a bit. On some mornings you'd probably throw the quilt over yourself and snooze a moment longer, but that was before. The way you woke up now, you're fully conscious. No grogginess, nothing weighing you down. Just a nagging need in the back of your head. Hunger. Not as severe as the last time, but unmistakably there. You get up and open the door to the main room. A digital clock on the TV shows you the time. 9:04 p.m. You walk over to the blinds and retract them cautiously. The only light coming in is New York City's artificial nighttime luminescence. So that's what your waking hours are going to look like now. You missed the sunlight already. You're seriously considering just walking out of the apartment and figuring this all out by yourself. But then you come back to the memory of Kadir's exotic sword being raised in the gallery. Maybe sticking around isn't that bad of an idea after all. You keep jumping channels for around half an hour and then switch to streaming services. Almost as if the universe had a sense of irony, you catch True Blood in the flood of recommendations. Oh my god, that gave me a little startle. The doorbell rings. It's Sophie. Good evening, Diane. Slept well? It's not really like normal sleep, is it? I suppose it isn't. Some say it's more like being dead, but we wouldn't know, would we? It's no use of reflecting on it anyway, except that this is who you are now. You made the right choice yesterday. I can teach you many things about yourself, your blood, its size and its power. We will begin tonight. You're hungry, yes? I'm sure you are. Our kind always is. There's only one remedy, the blood. The drinks we ate yesterday at Elysium are not the usual way to slake your thirst. So tonight I will assist you in your first foray into hunting. You need to learn to sense the kind of blood you desire, to understand how you can use the kindred's vulnerabilities to your advantage, the kind's vulnerabilities to your advantage. Well, I'm ready to learn. Let's get started. Such eagerness, or is it just your hunger making you impatient? You will find that drinking moderate amounts of it regularly will keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there's a balance to be found here. The kiss gives a kind of pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some can even become addicted to the sensation, but if you do it right, they tend to misremember your feeling. After all, vampires do not exist. They are myths, fairy tales, and pop culture mainstays, correct? She gives you a sly, knowing smile. And that is why the masquerade is so important, even more crucial when you feed. Biting people leaves marks, right? And the victims remember your face. You shouldn't concern yourself with leaving marks. They are easy to conceal. You just need to bite carefully and then lick the punctures closed. That's all there is to it. As for being remembered, like I mentioned, the kiss is an ecstatic experience, so a kind can barely recall the details. And even when they do, the city is enormous. You could spend days on the street and not see the same face twice. Use that to your advantage. Feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but by branching out, you risk the ire of the kindred on whose domains you trespass. Lucky for you, NYC is more forgiving in this regard. New York is somewhat of a unique position. Many of its neighborhoods remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is a lesson for another time, but keep the following in mind. Take opportunities to feed when they present themselves. These upcoming nights, as long as you hunt cautiously and respect the masquerade at all times, you should be fine. To wit, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs. Gregory's waiting for us. The busy street fills the air with traffic noise, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorient you momentarily. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really just think of these people as mere sources of blood? It takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door for her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins the somewhat thin New York traffic. It's still busy in a way only one of the biggest cities in the world can be, but compared to the daytime commute, it's a pleasant drive. You barely have time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. You're among the tall skyscrapers that make up Manhattan's iconic skyline. Come, Diana. Park the car, Gregory, will you? The driver just nods and Sophie gets out. You join her, and the two of you walk through the glass doors together, then take the elevator up. You first notice an empty stage with instruments of a string quartet still in the back, then take a few dozen chairs in front of it. The concert seems concluded. The patrons, all smartly dressed and posh, have spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides confidence inside, produces an invitation from her purse that she flashes in front of a security guard. You follow close and are let through without issue. Let's start easy. A social setting like this one would usually prove quite challenging to an inexperienced kindred, but consider this evening a small gift from your patron. I'm hoping to procure for you a willing vessel. Just remember what I told you about taking small sips. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Now let's see here. Ah, there he is. She notices somebody in the crowd, flashes a heart-melting smile, and suddenly even you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before, but it's like clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who's almost tripping over himself to reach her, clearly agrees. Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How's your daughter? Is she with you? Oh, there she is. Julie, my girl. Come over, please. There's somebody I'd like you to meet. The young woman who walks across the hall can't be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mismatched earrings and partially faded purple hair dye that she doesn't fit this crowd. Julie, this is Diana. I think the two of you should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you. I'm positive you'll like each other. The girl gives you a shy smile and nod towards the balcony stairs. You follow. Somewhat unsure what it is exactly Sophie expects you to do, you reach a secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible. All eyes are on Sophie. They listen intensely and laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step. If you're with Sophie, then I guess you're, I mean that you know. She puts her wrist to her lips and gives herself a theatrical nip, then looks to you, embarrassed, but also hopeful. Yes, I do. She takes off her jacket, unbuttons her sleeve, then rolls it up. You see a tattoo of a cat in an astronaut suit, one feline eye winking at you. There, just enjoy. A perfectly awkward smile and a blush. You take her forearm in your hands. A quick look around confirms nobody's watching and no security cameras cover this area. You bite down, gently. It's surreal. She's just given you her blood of her own volition. How is this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. You tear away from her. A brief convulsion shakes you. Her smell. It's her smell. It's not right. The temporary feeling of bliss the girl felt when you bit her is gone in an instant. She's disappointed, annoyed even. She looks at you, unsure of what's the matter. Come back, please, just have some more, just a little bit more. The very thought makes you want to throw up what little of her blood you've tasted. You shake your head. The girl sniffs, starts crying, wipes her face into her jacket sleeve, and walks down the stairs and into the hall. The crowd around Sophie disperses slowly. Looking at her now, only some residual awe hangs in the air. Yeah, she's pretty. Maybe even beautiful, sure. But not your type. Well, what came over you before? You walk over to her. Edgar, dear, it was splendid talking to you. But we need to get going. Give Julie my best wishes. Come with me, Diana. Gregory is waiting for you out front. It's only in the car that Sophie addresses you. So, how'd it go? I'm gonna be honest. I tried, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand the smell or the taste. Curious. I consider Julie's blood to have one of the most exquisite and unique bouquets in this city. Trust me, I have refined taste. She almost sounds like she's offended. Oh well, if at first you don't succeed, perhaps you need a change of pace. Time for the next stop. Training wheels off. This time, Gregory, Flashing Meadows, please. I know what it is. I know what we want. We don't want people to give it to us just like that. I think we have to forcefully take the blood or do something to them, like oppress them, and then something like that, I think. The driver takes the car over the Williamsburg Bridge. You settle your thoughts. Oh, what did you do to people back there? What's about training wheels? Why Flashing Meadows? Those people back in the hall, they were all entranced. Even I was under your spell. What was that? She smiles with satisfaction. That old trick is just the blood doing my bidding. We all have our talents. Some of them come with a legacy we inherit from our sire. Others can be learned with experience and diablerie. I can sway people or make them fear me. I see more of the world, and in greater detail than some kindred. I can will my body to move with unparalleled precision and grace, and more. All of these skills make me who I am. They also help me hunt. Okay, so what are my talents? Time will tell. You need to discover them yourself. When we arrive, experiment. Give different things a try. Follow your instincts and intuition. It will guide the blood. Always keep the masquerade in mind, however. It's all fine if you can disappear in plain sight on command or animals with your mind, but save those of her talents for the right place and time. It only takes you half an hour to reach the park at this time of night. Both you and Sophie leave the car, with Gregory left behind again to find a parking spot and keep an eye on the car. Sophie seems deep in thought. She takes in the surroundings with a dreamy gaze. The sky is surprisingly clear tonight. The stars are just barely visible in the light-polluted aura of the city. I feel like having a snack myself. I'll be by the fountain. Go look for somebody to your liking. See what effects you can achieve with your blood. But only pick one victim. Just one. Then come back. Seeing how she seems not altogether here right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out your prey. From here, it looks like you have a few choices. Just taking a stroll around the park and finding an isolated jogger or someone like them could work, but focusing on one area might be better. The New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's a skate park nearby, and worst case scenario, there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around. Or maybe the tennis court nearby? There's light coming from there, so somebody might still be playing at late night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. As these scenarios play out in your head, you realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act. I'm gonna go with the pavilion. You make your way to one of the park's most well-known landmarks, the round skeleton of the New York State Pavilion, with its two vaguely futuristic-looking towers. You don't get lucky with the skate park. It's not deserted. Instead, a group of skaters is gathered there, talking loudly and listening to music playing out of crackling smartphone speakers. Deciding to have a quick look around, you identify a potential victim, a sleeping bag lady leaned back on a bench, a shopping cart full of what looks like trash nearby. Oh, I'm not gonna like that blood. Even thinking of that second opinion makes it feel sick. You decide to take your chances with the skaters, not even getting close to the homeless woman. You think back to what Sophie did in the hall, how she managed to focus the attention of the entire gathering on her. It might be a tall order for you, but a single person could be doable. You single out a guy who is talking on his phone away from the gathering. He's having a heated discussion with somebody, a relative, a partner. It's not going well. This talk's over. I said shut the fuck up. Hey, you hear me? Shut up! Call me when you get home. When you get some fucking sense into your stupid brain, okay? He ends the call abruptly and almost throws the phone to the ground in frustration. Rough night? He's got an angry expression on his face, and tears welling in his eyes, but he gives you a curious look and even a bit of a shy smile. Yeah, you could say that. What's up? Come closer. Let's talk. I think you need somebody to talk to right now, yeah? He takes a few steps forward, away from his buddies, who remain totally oblivious to what's happening, but you see her influence fading. You take a chance and lunge. Your fangs sink into his exposed shoulder. He shivers and lets out a moan. His phone hits the pavement and you hear the casing crack. His blood tastes like a clash of hot emotion and melancholy, laced with some artificial stimulant you can't quite place. An energy drink? A recreational drug? It's a strange mix. You'll hardly have the chance to savor it, as the proximity of the skater's friends makes you feel vulnerable. You hastily finish drinking and drag the guy over to the pavilion. When you turn around, you realize you're not alone. A hooded man is looking menacingly at you. Oh no, I'm gonna have to kill this hoodlum. Oh, is that gonna be a gang girl? What do you think you're doing, barging on my turf like this, lick? What did you call me? A lick? What's that supposed to mean? Don't be cute with me.
I know what you are. Shove that masquerade bullshit up your ass. Better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat it out of you. Well... La 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 la. I came here with Sophie Langley. She's my patron. Doesn't ring a bell. Sounds fancy, though. He licks his lips, exposing his fangs, looking at you voraciously. A nervous tick or an attempt at intimidation. I wonder, what would Callahan do to you if I brought you in, huh? Break your shins? Leave you out to be kissed by the sun? Oh, concrete shoes, maybe. He's old school like that. Who's Callahan? Aha! Dominate. Enough's enough. You won't be intimidated by this asshole. Leave. Now. His countenance changes. A cruel beast one moment, a humble pup the next. He walks away just like that. How did you do it? Not wishing to tempt fate any further, you return to the Unisphere, looking back over your shoulder to make sure you're not being followed. Two figures are visible near the sculpture, a man and a woman, tangled in a passionate embrace. No, not exactly. It's Sophie, feeding. But this whole scene is set up so that it looks like a couple getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. It occurs to you that she probably has. Oh, my back is starting to hurt again. Don't stretch. The man is unsure of his feet as she lets go of him and leads him towards a nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something into his ear and leaves him. Her driver appears from behind a tree. Well, Diana, how'd it go? You're about to answer when the same figure as before emerges from one of the alleys. He looks at the three of you and a predatory smile creeps onto his lips. You're screwed, dumb fuck. You think you can mess with my head and get away with it? Think you'll be safe with your friends? Well, I have friends too. He makes a motion to shout, but two things happen almost at the same time. First, that feeling of warmth and beauty emanating from Sophie flares up again, entrancing both you and the hooded thug. His shout comes out as a weak, confused squeak. Second, Gregory produces a wooden stake from a holster under his jacket and slams it into the thug's chest. Gregory just staked on? Okay. Just like that, in a few seconds, the posturing vampire is down on the ground, paralyzed. I see you made a friend, Diana. Curious choice of company, I would say. Who is he? He said this was his turf and that I trespassed on it. I thought this place was supposed to be safe. Well, he's not part of the Camarilla. Corona Park hasn't been claimed by anyone I know of. Curious. Let's go to the car. We'll put him in the trunk and present him to Kadir tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be delighted to take this hoodlum's acquaintance. Gregory carries the staked vampire and dumps him in the car trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, and you're quite happy you're not in that poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can get away with just casually throwing a stiff into your car and driving away, but then you remember that Sophie has been doing this far longer than you have. Still, the nagging thought of that anything you did tonight could have been recorded on a CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with a half-decent smartphone and streamed online fills you with dread. Hunting and using your abilities is dangerous business. It's clear that this whole being a vampire thing has about as many caveats as it has perks. You're taken out of your headspace by Sophie's voice. I'll pick you up tomorrow night, same as tonight. I have some business to attend to at leisure, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Kadir and the prince. I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say to the court. Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enchanting personality she showed at the gallery earlier tonight.
Sophie is clearly a woman of many faces. Oh yeah, I can imagine he's going to enjoy meeting Kadir. I hope he gives him a good grilling. This guy's an asshole. Oh, Kadir will enjoy it too, I'm sure. She pauses, seemingly lost in a thought for a while. You haven't told me how your hunting went. Getting the hang of it, I would hope. I think I am, yeah. I'll cope. I'm glad. She doesn't question you further. She seems distracted. Not all there. Her thoughts adrift, and the car remains silent until you reach her apartment. We'll pick you up tomorrow evening. Good night. Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves. Driven to her apartment by Gregory, with a body in the trunk, right in the middle of Manhattan. Did you cross paths with situations like these in the past unknowingly? What other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature? Your haven is just as you left it hours ago. Although the sun won't come up for some time, you feel tired. You learned something about yourself today, and it'll take time to process. You're not in the mood for television, and the few books on the shelves in the apartment are either in languages you don't speak or sound like a boring read. Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock a door, a moment of hesitation, but then a decision. This time, you turn the lights off. You think back to Julie. How many people in the city know about this vampiric society? How many are willing accomplices in sustaining it? And the thug you met in the park, if he's not Camarilla, then what is he? He's probably an Anarch. Are there independent vampires? How does that work? More questions. You begin wondering if there's ever going to be a night when you can start crossing them off the list instead of adding to it. You close your eyes. You sink into the now familiar void of nothingness. It greets you with open arms, like an old friend. Okie dokie. And this seems like a good place to stop it for today. Okay guys, that's it for today. I will be continuing this because I kind of want to know what's gonna happen with the rest of the story. What's gonna happen to us? What actual plans does Sophie really have for us? Because I don't know what she's planning, but it's something. And I'm curious to know what's gonna happen. So, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll game with you later. Bye!